Hello and welcome to the Extreme Cinema Podcast. I'm Alexander Sternberg, and as always, joining me is Dom Loach. How you been, Dom?
It's me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, and you know what? We got a great fucking film this week.
A good one, finally.
Some would call this a masterpiece, including me.
Yeah, including us.
Yeah, I was super not in the mood for it, but I was like, well, we're doing it tomorrow, I'm gonna watch this. And I was like, oh, it's late, I don't really want something heavy, and I just started the film, and instantly I was like, nope, this is what I need to be watching now. This is outstanding.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was in the same headspace. I've not been watching many deep, especially dark films recently, but this, I was like, I'll do it, obviously, for the podcast. And then I was like, oh my God, it's so good. Like, obviously, we'd both seen it before anyway, but it's so good. Did we say we talked about the piano teacher,
Oh yeah, we
Michael
are
Hanake,
talking
today?
about the piano teacher.
Yeah, we talked about the piano teacher. Incredible film right from the bat. We're not going to be talking about if this is good or bad. Everyone knows this is good.
But you know something, I always, this is directed by Michael Haneke, one of the, all-time greats. I think that's pretty much confirmed. I mean,
Yeah,
what do you even fucking say about him? The Amour, The Seventh Continent, White Ribbon, Funny Games, which is his most famous, and I think people would have expected
cachet
us
as
to
well.
do that. Cachet as well, so good. I rewatched Code Unknown the day after I watched The Piano Teacher as well, because I was in such a Hanukkah mood. Very underrated film. I used to say Benny's Video was my favorite Hanukkah. I think on rewatching
Hmm.
The Piano Teacher, I'd say this is actually my favorite of his films.
Wow. I mean, probably same to be fair. I know you've always adored Benny's video, which I like as well.
Benny's Video has the murder sequence in that is the most shocking thing I've
Yeah, definitely.
ever.
I mean, the opening is bad enough in Benny's video,
Oh,
but uh,
that too. Fuck.
Haneke's is an interesting one because obviously is extreme cinema. He's that kind of guy, but he's very different about it. Is an interesting guy.
It's very subtle. It gets under your skin.
Yeah,
Um, we could have done a special on him, and maybe we should have, but then I would have had to rewatch so many films. Um,
yeah.
it's the way I looked at this is this is a film of immense beauty, immense complexity, but this is such a provocative film. This is a director
Oh
with
yeah, yeah,
absolute intelligence, really, really, really trying to provoke the audience in a way that doesn't feel, he's not like an edge lord. He has things to say. It's important, and it's just, I would have loved to be at a film festival screening of this when it came out before people knew what the hell they were getting into.
yeah. Exactly. I mean, there were sections of this rewatching it that I'd not forgotten about, but forgot how quite intense they are. I'd say and forgot.
The entire second half.
Yeah, the entire second half is brutal. Like there is some stuff in this. I mean, it's. I feel like everybody who's listening to this probably watched it. It's
We always do
a
spoilers, so just head for it.
yeah, we always do spoilers. Erotic psychological film this, so it's very on the cusp of what could be deemed normal in in that sense of
Well, no,
things.
it's I
And
mean it's
Haneke loves to talk about that stuff as well,
it,
though.
it's pretty explicitly about sexual deviancy. I mean, as one of many
Yeah,
themes. I was thinking about Happy End, which was a kind of good film, but it felt like
I've
Hanukkah.
not seen it.
Yeah, you have. We saw it together.
Did we?
Yeah, Leeds
Happy
Film
End. Which
Festival.
one?
The most recent one he did, the really forgettable one.
That's probably why I could. I
That's the thing.
can't
It felt
remember
like
then.
Hanukkah doing a kind of making a Michel Haneke film, and it was like, this is good because obviously he's directing it. He's a great director, but there was nothing really in that, and it has very
Oh, I
casual
remember.
sexts between people in
Yes,
it, and
yes,
they're also fairly um fetishistic. I mean, fairly, they are
yeah.
fetishistic, and that's always the sexuality he's exploring, whether it's in The Piano Teacher or it's in Benny's Video, or fucking, I'm sure there are others that I can't think off the top of my head because this is a theme he comes back to time and time again. And I think what's so shocking about this film, or one of the things, is it's like a really cold film and it's really, really hard edged to it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You get that feeling. It gets under your skin very much. Like it just feels raw and creepy and hard the entire time. And you just sat there like, oh, I hate this, like, but love it at the same time. Like,
The thing is, like, I feel like my experience when I first watched it is the first sort of half an hour. You're dealing with a cold and edgy and hard edged film, but there's nothing really explicit in it. I mean, there's some stuff that makes sense in retrospect, like when she comes back with the dress in her bag, but
yeah,
then she goes into like the pornography store, and you're just watching pornography, and you're watching her watch pornography, uh, and then more, and
yeah,
the first time you watch that, that's like a fucking stab. That's like being punched in the gut. Like, oh, it's this kind of film, and then you rewatch it, again, knowing that it's that kind of film, and you go, no, I should have seen this coming.
yeah, definitely, yeah. Especially because you know what you're getting into with it. Like, it's not like a. I mean, I guess you said people might not have back in the day, because I was gonna say it's not like an audition where it it takes you completely
No, I think this is possible to
by
go in
surprise.
blind. I mean, the first time I just got the box set, when I was getting into him when I was in like sixth form, and I didn't. I saw it said an 18 rating on it, so I assume there's something
Yeah,
in there, but I did not know it was like this. It's the best way to
fair
watch
enough.
it.
I definitely did, but I were a bit older than you, I think,
Probably, oh, that would
when I
make sense.
first saw it.
Well,
Yeah, and I mean, I guess the piano teacher doesn't really give much away, does it? With like,
no, well, Haneke said that very few films have portrayed sexuality successfully. He very much takes issue with like a lot of American films. He doesn't
yeah.
really want stuff to be erotic at all. Do you want to guess what two films he highlighted as being a successful portrayal of sexuality?
Oh wow, I would not have a clue, honestly. Tell me.
Salo and In the Realm of the Senses.
For God's sake. Ah, yeah, that's what I think of when I think of.
Haneke fucking amazes me. He amazes
He
me,
just thinks
man.
we're all fucked up, and he's correct, but he's
He amazes me because he's like, he started making feature films in like his 50s. I mean, he must be fairly old now, maybe even in his 80s. And he's like,
yeah,
he has that air of like a much, much young. He's got the, what's the word? He's got the knowledge and the expertise to like provoke and to like elicit emotions in the
yeah,
audience of like an old master, but he has the desires, and the films that he makes, they're films that could be from a much younger director who is really fucking out
yeah.
to hurt the audience.
Well, that's the thing. He has the sensibilities of somebody who's like, "I'm gonna screw you up, and you all suck," and I like basically. It's like,
I mean, you see him in interviews, and he kind of, like, he's Austrian. He comes across as like that, as very cold. He doesn't seem to speak with much passion, but like he's he's very
yeah, but
intelligent.
that's just that Eastern European depression that every Eastern European has.
It is. I mean, this film especially, it's like going to film school. Like every fucking aspect of this movie is like perfect, and it all blends together. The acting, the directing, the cinematography, the script, the
Hmm.
setting, the costume. It literally all blends together, and like all these individual things are 10 out of 10 as is, and it just blends together to just captivate you. And it's like a 2 hour 10-minute long film with decently little plot, and it just, you're hooked start to finish.
That's the thing, because I'm trying to be like, okay, so what happens in this that we can talk about and all of this, and there's big scenes and there's everything, but what really happens? Obviously, things happen, but not a great deal that you can like for a 2 hour film. Like,
I mean, yeah, she meets this guy at the piano recital. He's, I mean, there's so much. One of the themes is music, and that obviously is relating to Hubert's character. It really reminded me a bit of the way politics as a theme is in like the prime of Miss Jean Brodie, where her
Yeah.
character is explored by the fact she's a fucking fascist. In this film, uh, she's fairly she has hot takes on music basically. I'm not skilled enough on classical music to know what
No,
these
God, same.
discussions on Schubert mean, but you know
Mm,
the way she's treating her students and she's demanding perfection of them and she's horrible to them. But then you see her home life at the start, and you got a domineering mother, and then as the layers are peeled back on this character, and you're seeing all this repression. I mean, sexual repression as well as just general repression. You really start to kind of
yeah.
understand her and why she's so fucking hostile to this guy initially. I think this person who's sort of obsessed with these like um traditionalism. She's so she's so what's the word? She's like intrigued by him, but also she's like she outwardly says like I hate this when she clearly doesn't.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's just that he just loves to explore I don't know, the broken people. I don't
He
know, it's
does like to
like
explore broken people. You're right. I mean, his
yeah.
first feature is the Seventh Continent, and that's entirely about that. Not just the broken people as well, but like rich people, like the bourgeoisie.
Yeah,
Like all
definitely.
his films, I can't think of an exception, is like all about like the dark underbelly of bourgeois culture. Kind of in a way. I bet you he's a big fan of Blue Velvet. I bet you.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, I don't think we can talk about this film without spending a large part talking about Isabelle Hubert's performance. I mean,
I was literally about to say, let's talk about Isabelle Huppert.
this is possibly my favorite performance ever. She is possibly my favorite actor ever. I was thinking, like, do you know what, like, my four favorite
Wow,
performances
really?
are? Yeah, really.
Mm.
It's it's incredible, and I think there's a huge overlap between this and another one of my favorite performances by her, which is her performance in Elle. And there's a massive
Yeah,
overlap between those two films in terms of
of course.
themes, but the
Yeah.
characters are so different. I mean, she's less of a broken person in Elle, but it still deals with deviancy and sexual desire, and it's got kind of like that's almost a weird. If you've got like a normal relationship in the middle, the piano teacher's at one end of the spectrum and Elle is at the exact other end, but it has a
Yeah.
very similar feeling. And we could deal with Elle later on because of Verhoeven.
Oh my God,
But
yeah. I've never been so screwed up in a movie. So.
yeah, but like my favorite performances ever, Hubert in this, right? Isabelle
hmm
Adjani in Possession,
Possession, yeah.
Tony Leung in Last Caution, and De Niro in Taxi Driver. And I was like,
No.
there's some common
One of these
threads in
things
this.
is not like this. Like,
Really, really fucked up characters dealing with
yeah.
like sexual repression and deviancy. And then just like, this is fucking excellent. This is
If
the
I
best
was
of
a
that.
psychologist, Sterny, I'd be doing some real shit to you right now. Like, like,
Oh my god. You know, Haneke wanted her to star in Funny Games, but she couldn't do it because of a scheduling conflict.
oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, which I mean, she would have been great in that. Not that what's her face, Susanna Lothar wasn't amazing. I mean,
Susanna Lover,
I
yeah.
couldn't imagine Funny Games without her. But then Haneke was like to her, "Okay, but here's my next film. It's a piano teacher. I'm only doing this with you."
Yeah, I get that. Especially because he loves that woman as well. So,
Well, they seem very. I mean, she's a properly fearless actor. Like the scenes in this, the like it's not just the sex and the sexually related stuff, but like there's the very long rape sequence at the end, and there's the
yeah,
self harm,
the
and
violence and stuff as well, yeah.
like you're seeing the layers peel back on her. Like she starts out like firm, like kind of like an ice queen, like she just seems very unpleasant. And then you're getting to like an hour and a half, 2 hours in, and you have that like amazing sequence in the hockey club where she goes to talk to him, and it's
Yes.
like this is like who she is now. And it's not just that she's incredibly vulnerable, because of course she is, and she's clearly has sort of mental health problems to say the least, but like she's not actually cold and detached like at all.
No, it's just like a veneer type of thing
Yeah,
to,
it's a defense
yeah, which is
mechanism.
fantastically explained by not ever saying it. It shows you it instead, which is obviously the work of a absolute genius. Like it's how good it is. Like it's such a well done thing and such a good character study. It's unreal.
It's one of the best. The work of a genius director, an actor who 100% understands the assignment and is just lockstep with the director, and also a fantastic, fantastic script that's like completely like loaded with subtleties. Like that's just Haneke's direction as it portrays to Hubert's performance and that character arc. I mean, there's so much more to talk about when we get to directing as a whole, but you know,
Yeah.
Hubert steals the show in this. Obviously, this is kind of what the film is known for, but the supporting performances, Annie Garrido and Benoit, oh, for fuck's sake,
Benoit.
Benoit Magimel. That was me kind of intentionally fucking up for comedic effect. Benoit Magimel. I have no idea. I'm really sorry to every time
Some
I
French people.
every time we do a French film on here or I do it on my channel, it's embarrassing. Like I told you, I went to when I went to France, I was speaking the correct words, but I just realized I'm the most English person they've ever met, and they literally
Yeah.
can't understand
Well,
my
I
accent.
went to France with you once and it was the same. So
That yeah, it's just embarrassing. I'm so sorry to everyone in France listening, um,
in French.
in French, but they're also phenomenal, and there's definitely an aspect of the directing and performances I think needs mentioning, which is the piano playing,
Mm,
because it's fucking real. I mean, it's not for Benoit. Um, like his is cheated, but he had to learn to play to a level where they could cheat it realistically.
they could still cheat it over, yeah.
But I think for most other people, it's not. Like certainly the students, and yeah. At times it is not at times when the opening sequence. I'm like, you're showing off here, Haneke. You're showing off, but also it does really add to it. It does add like the directing's allowed to be a lot more static, a lot less cheating. You don't have to do a kind of cliched. You're filming them from the front on, and they're just banging their hands like off camera. It really frees you up to shoot those sequences in a more creative way that doesn't feel out of place.
Hmm.
Yeah, this one at Cannes, best actor, best actress, and the
Yeah, it got
Grand
a
Prix as
load, didn't
well,
it? Yeah. Not the
deservedly.
Palme d'Or, though.
Not the Palme d'Or. What won the Palme d'Or that year?
Oh, I could not tell you.
Palme d'Or 2001. The Stun's Room. I do want to watch that.
Oh, yeah, I've not even seen it. So.
The year before was Dancer in the Dark, though, so wow.
Oh, what a time for depression.
Cannes Festival, man. I'm so glad Sean Baker won it. I was saying people were chatting with friends about it, and I said I would love to go to Sean Baker, but I don't think it will, and it did.
Yeah, yeah, it did. Yeah.
The acting is phenomenal and subtle and all of that good stuff. The directing, holy fucking shit! Like
Yes.
so many long takes.
So many long takes. I'd completely forgot how many long takes there were and I was like, oh, there's another one every single time.
Every single time is, but with a couple of exceptions, like that scene where she goes to meet him in the ice ring, and it goes through different rooms and goes outside,
It
and the
just goes
lighting
through the rooms.
changes.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a Spielberg long take where you're not really meant to notice that it's going on forever.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I get that where it's just kind of following instead, and they're not pointing out to you that it's a long take.
Yeah,
It's more just a long take.
like the camera, I mean, it does go through rooms. I mean, there are showing off sequences, but the camera, it's more just it wouldn't even feel right to cut. And it's not just because the performances are on this another level in this film. It's also because it's like, nope, you're stuck here. You're stuck
Yeah,
watching this.
it's its sensibilities, like you said, is this knowledgeable old guy. So you, if you only saw him as a person, you'd be like, oh, his films will not be that bad. Like he'll be,
High class foreign
and then you
entertainment.
go and yeah, it'll be the 400 blows or something like, and then I mean he made a more, so
And more fucks you up too.
yeah, it does, yeah, but in a completely different way. But
It's again similar to what I was saying about Elle. It's like if it wasn't so good, if Huppert wasn't so good, if Haneke wasn't so good, if the writing wasn't so good, it would have been completely controversial. It would have been, you know, almost a cancelable film, and it's not. I don't mean that in
Yeah,
like a, oh, you can't get away with this now. Of course you fucking can. I hate people like that.
plenty people do.
You like, come on. Oh, you can't. Dom, comedy died at Tropic Thunder.
Oh, I forgot. So I forgot comedy died when Downey Jr. did blackface.
do people not fucking understand that's a commentary on blackface, right?
Yeah, no, they don't.
They don't. They just like it's a mainstream Hollywood film. It's not that hard to do that his character's making fun of white actors who think they can play literally whoever they want to.
The Extreme Cinema Podcast guys, we talk about Tropic Thunder when discussing the piano teacher.
But I mean, like, yeah, because you understand his character so much, and the themes of sexual deviancy are so well explored that it leaves you with a lot of questions. I mean, in a more subtle way, the Phantom Thread is kind of like this.
Yes, yeah, I get a lot of Phantom Thread vibes actually.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot less in your face than this Phantom Thread. But yeah, very similar psychosexual stuff going on that keeps you on edge a lot.
But and in the these themes of sexuality and all, there's also this sort of, I wrote it down in my notes as like kind of conjoined Oedipus complex. Like she simultaneously wants to kill and have sex with her mother. It's very uncomfortable, unsettling, like Jesus fucking Christ,
Conjoined Oedipus complex. That's high level stuff for this.
I'm right though.
Yeah, you are. Yeah,
Like the
I get.
ending with
Yeah, I get that completely. Yeah.
the knife. And also I was thinking, unless a filmmaker would have shown you the knife before, but I don't think Haneke feels the need to do a Chekhov's knife because it's just like, well, she lives in a house.
Sure, there will be knives. Yeah.
Like I was thinking, do you know what the worst aspect of Chekhov, the worst iterants of Chekhov's gun in media is, in my opinion? And I like this game.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say Suicide Squad at first.
Oh, I've not seen that.
That's fine. Carry
Um,
on.
Detroit Become Human.
No, I've not played it. Why is it?
Because she finds a gun in the drawer, like she's like a maid robot, and she finds the gun in the drawer, puts it back, and I kid you not, like 1 minute later, it comes back. They don't leave you time to forget and go, oh, it's a house in America and they showed us the gun, and then shock horror, there's a gun. No, it's like 1 minute later, Chekhov's gun for Phil. It's like speed running structure.
She killed Chekhov. That was it.
R.I.P. Chekhov. I've said it before. If I make a film, I'm putting a Chekhov's gun in it with like no payoff. I'm just
Yeah.
fucking with the audience. What a digression that was. But like, you're like, who is she gonna kill? And it's so fucking satisfying. It's so satisfying, the ending where he sees her lover and sees the happy
Yeah.
family unit he's in and goes, and then she's just like, well, actually he's not the messed up one, I am, and
I
just
am. Yeah.
stabs herself and then quietly goes out to die, and then just get cut to black, no music over the credits, and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, Michelle.
Yeah. It's the most guess I'll die then ending I've ever seen in my
Yeah.
life. Like it's like,
God, I need to watch this film again now. It's so good.
yeah, no. What a movie. Haneke is fantastic and it's just it will screw you up if you've not seen this and you watch it as well. By the way, it's because obviously it's extreme cinema. We talk about extreme cinema, but this is so different to most things I think we've done so far.
Um,
Probably in the way that it expresses itself.
yeah, I mean, Audition's probably the closest example,
The
but that goes very
closest,
extra
yeah.
and Japanese in its third act. This obviously doesn't do that.
No, this is just in your face, but in such a, like you said, just a hard, matter of fact kind of way every time.
Well,
Like it's,
I think, like I said this at the start of the episode, I said this introducing the film last week. I think everyone would have expected us to do funny games here. That's the one everyone's
Yeah.
seen. But we've done quite a few. This is a horror movie, but we're deconstructing horror movies. And because we're deconstructing horror movies, we're pushing it to like a crazy level right here. And
Uh-huh.
obviously, we could talk about funny games and it wouldn't just be a repeat of things we said in Cannibal Holocaust or audition episodes or whatever. Um, but yeah, we thought let's do this sort of understated romantic drama, change it up a bit, and I'm very glad I did. I mean, it gave me the I had been hankering for a rewatch of this anyway, and it really just God, it cements Haneke as like this incredible director.
Yeah. One of the best. And I have to thank YMS for introducing me.
Oh, of course. I
Something that he actually gets correct.
I uh I think it was when like Amor came out and it got big and I saw that and I was just like, okay. And then I vaguely remember Cachet existing. Like I was
Yeah,
fairly young, but I
same.
vaguely remember that. I remember the posters. I think there were posters on the bus or in the cinema. And then I was, found out about Funny Games and went, oh, it's a director of Amor, and oh, I've heard of Cachet. And that
Yeah.
was kind of it. And then it made me go buy the box set. It was very funny because I was under 18 when I bought the box set. I was probably 16 and I tried to buy it and they were like, nope, wouldn't sell it to me. And then the guy's manager was behind him clearly and he was like, yeah, I'm really sorry. We can't sell it to you. I was like, okay. Went out, went to see whatever film I was
Put a
seeing.
mustache on. Get like,
Yeah. No, I went back in and then the manager was
oh.
serving me. I'm going to have to, I'll edit out what store I bought this in, even though this is literally over a decade ago. Um, the manager was there and I just went up to him and paid it. And he obviously remembered. He was like, yeah, cool, 30 quid, bye.
Yeah.
There's no Blu ray of it, which sucks.
That was the dot.
Nope. Um,
Oh my god, that's surprising.
yeah, I mean, even at the time, I was like, I can only buy a DVD box set. That sucks. And still, there's only a DVD box set of his stuff. They're just
That's so
releasing some
weird. I've
4Ks in
I've got a few
France.
of his.
Oh, they've got like some individual, like Amour's on Blu ray. I'd be shocked if Cache wasn't on Blu ray.
Yeah,
um Funny Games, certainly the American remake of Funny
the
Games
American
must be
one.
on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
That I also had heard of that. I didn't know anything until I found out about Funny Games. I didn't realize it was a remake or it was the same director
Yeah, same. Yeah.
because they just marketed that as a horror film.
Yeah, because they were doing it to an American audience.
What a troll. I would love to have been around like at the time and seen that with people who didn't know what the hell they were getting into.
Oh my god, same. I'd love that for so many movies though.
A
Like
common
what were Funny Games 2007?
the remake was, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was
Um
12, so you know.
there I remember it's very funny the Blu-ray cover now and then and the Blu-ray cover before. It's just the jig's up now. They know who they're selling it to at this
Oh
point.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
The thing people really Haneke's not like I've seen him online is he is synonymous with he hates his audience, which I don't disagree with. And some people really like that about him and others really hate him. Like
Uh
this was generally really positively reviewed, but you had some people complain. Andrew Saris of The Observer hated it and was like, Haneke is sadistic towards the audience, which is true. But then you have someone like Ed Gonzalez of Slant Magazine also reviewing it when it came out and said, I loved Haneke's latest torture machine. And I also loved Haneke's latest torture machine.
Yeah, same. I mean, I love artists that hate their audience. I've always loved it. I
No,
think it's
no,
great.
no way.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Irreversible is definitely a I'm fucking the audience up now. Sorry.
Well, that's the most. That's the most ever.
Von
Anyway,
Trier as well. I mean, he's in the same school as those two. Uh, God, Von Trier hasn't made a good film in a while.
it's been a while. Um,
I like that attitude, and I think it's good. And there's a like Haneke is so outside of mainstream cinema. I'm not using mainstream cinema in a way to denigrate it. I just mean it is they are rule breaking films in every aspect, even before you get into the fact that his films are largely so thematically unpleasant. Um, he has a very famous video that went viral of him, which is a critique of Schindler's List, and he calls it like an aesthetic nightmare. And he said the only film to
yeah,
ever tackle the Holocaust well is Night and Fog, um, because it doesn't tell you anything; it just asks questions. And I fundamentally disagree with him because Schindler's List um, you know, is one of the biggest, most important things in Holocaust education worldwide. And Schindler's List
Ever,
was a
yeah.
mainstream film for a mainstream audience, so it's telling it in a normal narrative. So while I get his point from an aesthetic point, I completely disagree with his conclusion. But you can see that from his perspective, the aesthetics of just telling a narrative are wrong.
Wrong, yeah, yeah.
And it's very funny clip because there's a bunch of I don't remember who, but like kind of American directors, no one particularly excellent around him is, and then the host is like, so who wants to respond to that? And he'll just sit there nervously chuckling.
That's funny.
I can get who responds. He's just like, yeah, I mean, I understand your point, and then keeps just sort of like he can't.
Saying things like
I'm laughing. I couldn't say anything to that either. I'd be like,
no, say. I'd be like, you sure, man? Like,
but yeah, I mean, Ebert. I always check Ebert's reviews. 3.5 out
always
of
got to
4.
do an Ebert. Oh,
Self-assured
good.
and smart. Uh,
He
Everyone
liked this one.
praised Hubert's performance. The New York Times, Rolling Stone loved it. Uh, Hubert, Ebert's partner Richard, because it was Richard Roper at that time, because
Yeah,
Siskel had passed on. Um,
Siskel had gone. Yeah.
yeah, he hated it. He called it a pretentious and ultimately empty examination of a sick and evil woman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
um Replace empty with nihilistic, get out pretentious,
Nihilistic.
and take
Yeah.
out evil because American. What a oversimplification that
Yeah.
is. And
Evil's hardly that is it, but like it's Haneke though. We're all sick and twisted in his mind. Every human probably is, and he's kind of right. Like that's the whole thing.
you're meant to
Is everybody's
empathize with Hubert's character. Like, she's the point of view
exactly.
character. And yeah, she's pretty, she's clearly the most incredibly unpleasant woman ever. But it's not like the first third of A Clockwork Orange, to give an extreme example, where you're just meant to sit there being
No.
like, I hate this person with an absolute passion. It's much more subtle than that. Like,
Yeah, way more so.
there's a reason it starts with the argument with the mother and not just her icing out her students. Like, you're meant to empathize from the second the camera starts. It's not meant to be like she's horrible. Oh, look at these layers we're peeling off. You're always meant to empathize with her.
Yeah, it starts with the empathy before you see anything. Like it's that's such an oversimplification. It's insane. Like,
It's going to be like, ugh, Americans. I haven't watched much Ebert and Roper clips, but I don't know if he's always like that or not, but ugh, Americans.
no, same.
um, so yeah, final thoughts, unless there's anything you want to add for this.
No, I mean, just final thought is literally what a film. Like, what an amazing study, what an amazing, groundbreaking movie. It's fantastic.
The hairs on my hand are like standing on end just talking about it. This is up there with all the best films we've talked about. The Lynchers, your
Yeah,
Auditions, your
easily.
Raws.
I might like it more than Audition, which is,
Honestly, I
but
wouldn't even.
that's the thing. Like,
Look, I feel like my top 10, top 20, top whatever films of all time are just, it's now kind of a nonsense almost. I had those lists a
yeah.
while ago, and now I'm like, I couldn't tell you where everything is. Maybe my
Man,
top few favorites I
if
can
I
do.
told our audience my top 10 films, they'd be like, "Why are you hosting an extreme cinema podcast?"
Lost Highways on there.
It's Highways on there. There you go.
Yeah, like I couldn't really say, but like Audition's my favorite horror film of all time. This is as good as that. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I couldn't start putting numbers on what number film of all time it is for me, but yeah, one of the greatest of all time's films. I would love to see this in the cinema one day, is kind of my thought now.
Oh wow, yes, same.
That would be intense. If we saw L, if L possibly was a date movie, maybe this is another great one.
We'll go on a date, don't it,
We'll go on a date to
to the
watch The
piano
Piano
teacher.
Teacher. We could double
And
bill it with
what
like,
an us thing to do. Like,
well, do you fucking, what was the film we saw at Leeds Film? Pet. Was some
Pet,
bargain
yeah.
horror movie. It was better than I expected, but not like good. And
Along with I am not a serial killer,
oh,
and
that was
yeah,
good. That was really
yeah,
good.
Christopher Lloyd. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That had a good aesthetic, but like Pet, everyone in the cinema was like like they were like watching the most horrific thing they ever see, and me and Dom were just there like, really?
Yeah, just like, yeah, I've seen it.
So
Oh,
yeah,
right, Sturdy.
next
So,
week we got a couple more episodes, and
yeah, you go for it.
yeah, next week I guess you could call this one proto extreme cinema, even though we've done films from before it. It's probably the least extreme thing by today's standards we're talking about, but influential, shocked people, and it's from one of the all-time greatest directors again. It's Alfred Hitchcock's Frenzy.
Yes.
Great film.
Fantastic movie. Yeah. So we get to talk about good stuff again,
We
which
get
is
to the next step. They're all good stuff. The one afterward is
yeah, they
completely
are actually.
mental, but this is for yeah. We get to talk about Hitchcock when we were deciding it. You're like, you know what? We get to talk about Hitchcock for the episode. What's not to like?
Yeah, we've not done any Hitchcock yet, so we need to talk about Hitchcock.
All right. Until next time, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Extreme Cinema Podcast with Alexander Sternberg and Dom Loach. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider subscribing as it really helps us out. The original artwork for the podcast was done by George Arnold. The Extreme Cinema Podcast, available where all good podcasts are available.